I'm live. It finally worked. Okay, if you're still here, that is fantastic. I just have to text a couple of people to let them know when that we are going live. We are live. Oh my gosh. Oh, I hope you're still here, Gigi. And I hope you can hear me okay. If you are on the live right now, this is my first time ever, y'all. Whoa, it worked. Um, if you're here, can you just give me a little drop it in the chat that you're here? And yeah, we were having a little tech difficulties. Um, I'm going to just let Carla know I'm live now. Okay. So Mercury is retrograde. And the tech difficulties were obviously, part of the plan. So welcome in. And if you're just arriving, I'd love for you to just take a deep breath in and shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. And then lower your shoulders down and away from your ears. Go ahead and just soften your gaze. And if you're seated, great. If you're laying down, that's also fine. Just so long as your spine is nice and upright. So have a nice upright spine. And we're just going to dive right in with a little breath practice. It's called Nadi Shodhana, and it's alternate nostril breathing. And it's kind of a clearing and cleansing breath practice in yoga. And it's alternate nostril breathing is exactly as it sounds. So Nadi Shodhana is the translation of that. And I thought we would start there just to really get centered. And what we're going to do is really concentrate a lot on our exhale breath. So thinking about as you're going through alternate nostril breathing, how can you elongate your exhale? And in that way, we are really attuning and opening more to that idea of the energy of receiving. We're also scientifically, we are tapping into our parasympathetic nervous system and calming into that, kind of coming into that calm, relax, and rest and digest energy. So let's go ahead and start. We'll take a deep breath in through our nose and a big breath out through your mouth just to cleanse. And then take your hand to your heart and a hand to belly and just settle with that for a moment. Just check in with yourself. Just notice how you're feeling this morning, right now, or whatever time you're listening to this. So originally I thought I would record this since we were having technical difficulties, but now we are actually live. So if you're joining us, come on in, take a couple of deep breaths, take your hand to your heart, hand to your belly. Just take a moment to settle your energy and come into your center and just allow yourself to be here for about the next 30 or so minutes. Might be a little less. Good. And then if your eyes are closed, just flutter your eyes open. And I want to invite a mudra before we jump into this practice, this Nadi Shodhana or alternate nostril breathing practice. And the mudra is the Vishnu mudra. So you're going to curl your right index and middle finger down, and then your ring finger, pinky finger, and thumb are kind of free and loose. And the Vishnu mudra is about attuning to the energy of harmony between the right and left side bodies, the masculine and feminine. So left side body is the feminine and right side body is the divine masculine. So what we're doing here, and the purpose of this breath practice, is to find that union, that harmony, that balance between that really heady, vibrant, heated energy of the divine masculine, that doing energy, and the more cooling, calming, nurturing, receiving energy of being, which is the divine feminine left side energy. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to go ahead and just hold that mudra in front of our gaze, and then just gently press your right thumb to your right nostril and just kind of find that sweet little spot below the cartilage. You don't need to press hard. We're just going to gently close that nostril, and then you're going to try it on over here with the left nostril. Just going to gently place your finger on the left nostril here. Just find that sweet spot. So we're not pressing hard. There's no reason to go hard on this one. It's very calming, this breath. And if it's not calming for you, I want you to let it go and breathe just through your left nostril. So if you find this is like a little bit too much, you're like, oh, this is, I don't want to think about all this. Then just breathe in and out through your left nostril. That's your alternative. Okay, so we're going to get going here. We're going to breathe in through our nostrils. We're going to close the right nostril. And then slowly breathe out through the left nostril. You might move your right elbow a little bit out of the way so you can really feel for that breath coming into your right lung. And now we're going to breathe in through the left nostril and close your left nostril and slowly breathe out through the right. So really take your time to breathe out through your right nostril, elongating that exhale. And then take a breath in through your right nostril when that's complete. And then gently close your right and slowly exhale through your left. You got it. And then breathe in through your left. Closing your left and breathing really slowly out through your right. So trying to elongate that breath out through your right. And then breathe in through your right. And this will be our last breath out. We're going to close the right nostril and very slowly breathe out through the left. And then once that feels complete, let's go ahead and take your hand back to your heart and to your belly and breathe in evenly through both your nostrils. Take a deep breath in. And then again, elongating your exhale. If you can stretch that exhale breath out just a little bit longer. And then two more just like that. Imagine you're breathing up from your tailbone through the crown on the inhale, and then from your crown through your tailbone on the exhale. Take your time and do two more rounds of breath in that way. Filling up fully with breath on the inhale. And then allowing your breath, imagining it traveling from your crown all the way down to your tail. Take your time, find the pause at the bottom of the exhale. And then just do one more breath like that. Lovely. And just take a moment to flutter your eyes open if they were closed and just tune in and just notice what's shifted for you, how you feel. I always like to start any kind of more heady learning by centering ourselves first, right? So often in our lives we just go headlong into the next thing, headlong into the next thing. We wake up and we hit the ground running. So this is just a really simple practice to center ourselves. So that's just one of hundreds of tools that you'll learn in my coming up yoga teacher training program. It begins in November, but the super early bird discount ends on July 31st. So I hope that you get some questions answered here today. And if not, if you're not able to join us today, that's absolutely fine. My hope is that tech still starts to cooperate a little bit more with me and that I can record this and load it onto my YouTube channel. And also, I am super available. You can find me on my website, alignedyoga.net. I'm really easy to reach, and you can just click a time on my schedule, my calendar, to book some time with me to get your questions answered about the program if you'd like. So without further ado, let's dive in. I'm going to see if I can share my screen. Now, obviously, I'm really used to Zoom, so I'm not quite used to YouTube. So hang on a moment with me. I just want to give you a quick overview of the program. You may have already seen this on my website. So basically what I'm offering is an opportunity for you to dive into the foundational practices and teachings of yoga at the 200-hour level or at the 300-hour level. Now, if you want to combine those two, you get lots of discounts and all kinds of fun perks if you do the 500-hour. So the 200-hour foundational teacher training program is it's a 6-month commitment. And then the 500-hour is a 12-month commitment. And we are going to be doing generally about nearly 100 hours in person here in Seattle. And then the rest is hybrid online, where you are going to be doing self-guided study, also have access to our community page on the teaching platform and you'll have accountability buddies. That'll be encouraged. So maybe doing homework together. And then we're going to meet every other week online for a yoga class online. And then once a month, we're going to meet for a 2-hour asana and homework lab. So there'll be lots of hands-on, and then I'm always available as well. So I'm going to set up office hours as well, just like a professor would, and then you can kind of come visit me in my office hours. I'll have those open once a month, or maybe more. I'm not quite sure yet. So the 200-hour program is this foundational experience born from the soul-led roots of yoga. It's designed to deepen your practice and then become a certified yoga teacher anywhere. So all of my programs are going to get you certified to teach yoga should you choose to do that. But really, the programs are more about a return to your essence. It's like a reclamation, a remembrance of who you are, attuning your energy to fearlessly show up in your life, to speak your truth, with the foundational wisdoms and practices and principles of yoga as kind of undergirding your way forward. So the 300 program is for people who are actually teachers who are already trained in the 200-hour certification. So even if you got your 200-hour certification anywhere else and you want to become a 500-hour certified teacher, then the 300-hour program would be for you, and that starts in January. The 500-hour program starts immediately, just at the same time as the 200-hour program in November. It's that weekend of the November 7th where we start here in person at the Home Retreat Studio where I'm standing right now. It's a weekend immersion, which will kick us off. It kicks off the program, and I will get to like what we'll do that first weekend. So if you haven't had a peek at the website, I invite you to go to www.alignedyoga.net and go to the teacher training tab. It's going to talk a lot about the hybrid program and what you'll get. We're going to lay the groundwork, and all these tabs have all kinds of really juicy, good information. And then this explains a little bit about the 300-hour advanced journey, and then your 500-hour comprehensive. So have a peek at the website, and maybe you already have, and maybe that's why you're here. So there's a lot included in both the 200 and the 500-hour program. Let me just go quickly to this next page. So this is what it'll look like when you come into the program. So this is your first chapter 1, the foundations of embodiment and yogic roots. So it'll look something like this, where you can sort of see it really easily laid out. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to dive right on into what it means to create a daily spiritual practice. And that is really the foundation of this entire program, because when you begin to have a more committed and sustainable morning ritual around contemplation, whether that involves meditation or whether that involves, chanting mantra, or whether that simply involves breath work. So a contemplative practice every morning is where we're actually going to start. And that's called a sadhana, your daily spiritual practice. So we're going to cultivate that in addition to cultivating our deep desire for how we want to become. So who we want to become, how we want to become in the world. And that's called a sankalpa. And it's an intention, but it's a very deep intention. So we're starting there. We're starting right from our inner landscape, because honestly, it's an inside job. The way we move through the world, the way we perceive the world, our triggers or non-triggers, the way we respond versus react to the world, it's all an inside job. So we're starting here from this spiritual base and the roots of the spirituality of yoga first. And it starts with us. So it starts with committing to ourselves for how we want to be in the world. So I want to just go through. I love that this is working. I just have to say I'm so excited that this is actually working, because I watch YouTube live videos sometimes and I'm like, oh, maybe I could do that. And so now I'm doing it. Look at that. So I'm glad that the screen share is also working. I'm going to continue to scroll through what's included in the 500 program hour tuition as soon as I figure out how to get back to that screen. Yeah. So here we go. I'm going to keep scrolling down. So you've read a little bit about the 500-hour, some of the bonuses. And again, there are 3 in-person weekend immersions here at the studio for both the 200 and the 500 hours. So if you do the 500 hours, say there's 6. And those are really, really lovely deep dives. This program is limited to about 8 people is what I'm thinking right now. And it might be a little smaller, which is also sweet. It's going to be a very intimate, sacred container that we hold for one another. And the weekend immersions for the in-persons, you'll you'll be invited. You'll be invited in on Friday evening. If you're local, then obviously you stay at home. If you're not local, then talk to me about that because I have some ideas for you for where to stay. Some of which are free. So let's talk about that a little later if you want to take it offline. But lunch will be provided by me because I love to nourish people in all the ways. So I'm just going to scroll through some of the other bonuses here and some of the other things that are included in your 500 hour, um, and then the cost and commitment. So this is all on my web page, and the super early bird discount ends on the 31st of this month. So if you're at all interested in either the 200 hour or the 500 hour teacher training program, I would invite you to just lock in with making a deposit, and that way you lock in your super early bird price. And then now I'm going to just kind of head back over to the curriculum. So just a little overview. So this is chapter 1, the foundations of embodiment. In chapter 2, you'll see the wisdom. Sorry, I have to. Yeah. So if you see on the left side of my screen, you'll see everything that's included in chapter 2. We'll go through the 8 limbs of yoga and how applicable the 8 limbs of yoga are to our daily life. We go in deep on the yamas and the niyamas. So the personal practices, kind of self-care practices, are the niyamas. The yamas are more of those ethical practices of how we show up in the world. So it's all, for me, it's very important to weave in how we take our yoga off the mat. So are we going to be talking a lot about asana, the physical postures? Sure, of course we are. Are we going to be practicing yoga? Of course we are. But my intention is to be able to practice those asanas with deeper meaning right away, right? So kind of infusing the principles and practices of the philosophical and spiritual of yoga right on into marrying with the physicality of the practice. So we practice yoga to stay present. We practice yoga to stay curious, so we stay out of judgment. We practice yoga to cultivate that mindfulness and of presence so that we can take that off of our mat and out into the world. So maybe we lose our keys less, or we might misplace things less, for instance. And then the third chapter is the body as your temple, and all the anatomy, major muscle systems, the nervous system. I'm going to be also throughout the course weaving through mantras and mudras as well. So mantras to help us stay focused, and also perhaps to attune to something we want to call in or something we want to let go of. And then mudras are energy seals so that we can kind of cultivate whatever it is that the energy seal or mudra is inviting us to cultivate. So that will be seamlessly woven into some of the asana pieces as well as the meditations and any contemplative practices like breath work. Then chapter 4 is taking care of you, embodied wisdom, your mindset. So you can just see I'm kind of going through. There's a quiz and a chapter manual for each chapter. So there will be a quiz that you complete. It's not complicated. You'll do great. You'll pass. I know you will. And then you'll get a manual for each. Let's just pop into the manual over here for chapter 4. You'll get a manual for each chapter. You'll also, when you sign up for the program, you'll get a bound manual of all the chapters included in one. You'll also get an asana or posture manual as well with the English and Sanskrit names on it. So this is what your manual will look like, for instance, for chapter 4. So the table of contents for chapter 4 are here, right? So let's go to the manual for chapter 3, just out of curiosity. What's that look like? Here it comes. I hope that you can still see my share screen. And chapter 3, table of contents. So it's really clear where our focus is going to lie for each chapter. And I'm going to invite you to do this sequentially along with our group. So within this platform, we're also going to have a community section where we can share wisdom and inspiration and talk to each other and help guide each other. So you can kind of think about this as a mentorship program where we're all mentoring one another, and the sort of going through the practices, the principles, the teachings, the curriculum together. So it's in that way that we can weave it into our daily lives, right? So it's not just what we're doing on the mat, it's also what we're doing on our meditation cushion, what we're doing out in the world. And really more importantly than doing is how we're being. What is our quality of being in all of that doing? And so that's what to me yoga is really all about, is to invite that quality of being versus doing, but even while you're doing. So it's a mindfulness practice, it's a practice in presence. So this is just an example of the chapter 3, the body as foundation, the table of contents here. And then we can keep going into the art of sequencing and philosophy principles, creating sacred space. There's going to be, there will be homework assignments. There's also going to be some videos and audio meditations and all kinds of yummy stuff. I'm still loading up some of the curriculum. I'm still loading up some of those videos and things like that. So even what you see here on the left, there'll be a little bit more to it than that. So like chapter 5, the contents, we're talking about the significance of sacred spaces, cultivating inner and outer sanctuary. So our sanctuary, we're going to talk about that again in the other chapter with the physicality of our physical temple and our inner sanctuary. And we come back and we do a little bit more deep dive into that. Setting your altars, weaving in your practices with purpose and based on the season. So we're going to talk a lot about sort of theming around seasonal cues. So, and then the art of guiding. And we'll go to the manual here, the art of guiding chapter 6 and the manual. Table of contents here, the art of guiding, skill, compassion, adaptability on the mat, poses and assists, and then where truths and fears emerge, and yoga ethics. We'll get to the manual there. So as we go through, the chapters get a little bit smaller as we go because it's really front loaded on the end intentionally. So I want you to have a lot of front-loaded information on the front end, and because it's an embodiment practice, and I want to get like right on into that inner landscape, that cultivating that inner calm within, and like consistently, tending to that throughout. And then so chapter 7, yoga ethics. Here's the table of contents there for that. And then finally, the final chapter, chapter 8, and I'm going to go back up to chapter 1 in a second and show you the manual for chapter 1 and 2 in a minute. And then for chapter 8, our manual is here. And this is a little sneak peek here. So I'm glad you're joining us, and I'm glad you're watching the replay. So stepping into purposeful leadership and sustainable teaching, crash course in liability insurance for yoga teachers, if should you choose to teach. And then class waivers and living your practice, reminders of how we're living our practice, and then stepping into that full expression of yourself. Let's go back up to chapter 1 and check in on the manual there, since I didn't show you that. I think we started at chapter 3, weirdly. So you'll see that the table of contents on the front end of this program, the chapters 1 through 3 are more weighty. And those, we will do some of this work together, on the mat together, in the studio together, and we'll do it online together. And then some of this you'll do on your own as well. So this is the manual for chapter 1, little sneak peek. Yoga terms and definitions, subtle to somatic, mapping the subtle body, nadis. We just did a little nadi shodhana, so talk more about what those are, what nadis are. And then we'll go to chapter 2 manual, and then I'm going to head on over and see if there are any questions. Chapter 2 manual, we'll go into the Bhagavad Gita and why that's relevant and what the teachings from that sacred text really are about. It's not about war, because sometimes you're like, wait, he's just on a battlefield. So what's that all about? What's Arjun doing? So we'll talk a little bit about how that's relevant to our daily life. And then the sutras and why they matter. We're going to do a little bit of Sanskrit, not a ton of Sanskrit. There are always loads of resources if you want to dive into more Sanskrit. But I'm going to be offering all the mantras I offer are in Sanskrit, as are all the Yoga Sutras with translations. Okay, I'm going to head back over and see if we are still live streaming. You're still with me. Carla's here. Oh, it looks like there's an error, but I'm not really sure what that's about. Okay, friends. So what I'd like to do, I think that the share screen did not work. Oh my gosh. So sorry. I don't know what that was about.